The Steam Winter Sale is always loaded with great deals, but somehow this year felt even more outstanding. And amazing sales never mix well with giant backlogs. I can't help it, man. There are so many amazing indies coming out all the time, and the winter season is the best chance to pick up a whole bunch and try them out. So here we are, another indie impressions video. Also, please bear with my voice. It apparently hasn't gotten the memo that my fever is over. So you have deep voice ASMR Jello today. So, you know, enjoy that. Like last time, we've got 3 indie titles to look at. Each I played for about an hour. I logged my experiences with each game, and now I can share with you my first impressions. And if you like what you hear, you can try out the games yourself. So with that, let's get started. Sometimes a silly title is all you need to be sold. Ever since I saw Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, I've learned that there's a lot of selling power in just a ridiculous title. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom is certainly on that list. But while ridiculous, I heard a lot of good things about it. A lot of creators really singing its praise, so I thought, you know what? Seems like as good a game as any to give a shot. This game has no mercy, dude. You better be paying attention. The instant you start this game, it's like, hey guys, it's me, Mario, with an O, not the other guy, and terrible news. All the oil-based cars have turned evil thanks to Elon Musk and Tesla, but luckily you are a wind-up car, so you're immune to all of that, and you just have to make sure people turn your crank, otherwise you die. Now hop into a level, run people over, and collect gears. Okay. You might be thinking, oh, a crazy game starring a taxi. I've seen this before. And yes, you do indeed pick people up and bring them to their destinations in crazy fashion. But it's really a side part to the whole experience. The passengers turn your crank, which increases the level's time limit, which is helpful, but the main element of the game is collecting gears. How do you do that? Platforming. This is more or less a 3D platforming game starring a car. The first main level even lampshades the type of game you're playing. A giant tower in the middle of the world with a bomb-themed boss at the top? I see what you're doing there. Anyway, most gears are just lying around in hard-to-reach places, although some require helping an NPC or solving a puzzle room. Collect enough of them and you unlock the next level, which could be anything from a bowling alley to a pizza world where everything is made of pizza. Keep up! As a car, you cannot jump, which is bad news for platforming, but you do have a boost that can launch you over gaps and up ramps. This proves to be just enough to get you to wherever you need to go with just enough finagling. You'll have to find whatever angle you can to boost yourself upwards, or maybe a nearby bomb will just blow you up to the roof accidentally. What's important is that you got up there and now you can collect a gear. I love how bouncy and animated the taxi is, and really everything is. I feel like this game is yelling at me all the time, daring me to question the flying mustaches in the distance. The world is insane, the people are insane, the music's insane, and you're just a little taxi with a dream. I've gone through a few levels now, and I don't know where all of this is heading. Am I battling Elon Musk in the end? Will I cure all the corrupted oil in the world? Who knows, but so long as Mario is happy and stops hanging creepy pictures of himself on his walls, then I'm happy. Full disclosure, I've played 2 hours of this game. Whoops, I just was having too much fun. And I think I've collected the grand majority of the gears and pretty close to unlocking what seems to be the final level. If the game really is only 3 or 4 hours long, then that might be a little much to ask for the price tag. So even though it feels like I'm nearing the end of the game, I also get the sense that there's probably a lot more hidden underneath the hood. And I'll tell you, while I have gotten a lot of the gears, the ones that are left, I can see where I have to get to, and that platforming is frightening. So I might have my work cut out for me yet. Still, there is a lot to be said about a compact adventure, and Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom is certainly that. And if you want to have a really wacky time, then I recommend this game to you. And now for a very dramatic tone shift. Eclipsium is a game that going in, I knew very little about. I hadn't even seen any gameplay. To be entirely honest, I just saw the thumbnail image of that one woman with the giant staring eye, and that was enough. I knew that whatever I was walking into, it was probably going to be very creepy and get under my skin. And while I didn't end up getting the game that I thought I was going into it, it is certainly a game that still unnerved the heck out of me. Thinking about it, I don't think I've ever played a game that could be classified as a walking sim. Essentially a game where all you are expected to do is walk forward. Many would joke that there is not a lot of game in these games. And while I understand where they're coming from, there is a lot to be said about atmosphere. I played a little over an hour of Eclipsium, and I'd say the first 30 or 40 minutes, I literally did nothing but walk forward and climb up ladders and cut down pieces of wood with my weird little blade hand. But the audio design kept me on my toes all of the time. This game is a master at making you think that there's something behind you or that you're running from something. It's like a haunted house walk where you keep thinking that something is gonna pop up and spook you, but you're actually in that haunted house all by yourself. And that's creepy in its own right. I kept my eyes peeled for story clues, and I'll admit I have not experienced enough to know where we're going with all of it. We seem to have entered a dream-like space, Eclipsium, where we seem to be either chasing or looking for or just trying to connect with this woman. Yes, I did encounter her, the woman that made me buy this game in the first place, and it was creepy. She's clearly very important, and I'm excited to learn who she is and what her connection is with us. Clearly we'll do anything to get to her again, because the very first action you do in this game is cut out your tongue. That certainly sets the mood. Of course, what also sets the mood is the unbelievable visuals. This is pixel art, but I don't think I've ever seen more realistic looking pixel art in my life. It's gorgeous, and yet the pixels can sometimes be vague enough that you find yourself looking closer, squinting, trying to make out what's in front of you, which is of course terrifying in a game like this, because what you could be looking at might just be a bush, or it could be a terrifying creature. You can't know. Thankfully, as the game went on, it stopped just being a pure walking simulator and it started introducing puzzles to me. Nothing insane, but just enough to keep me engaged and invested in what's going on. I mean, if I was just literally pressing W for the entire game, I think I would lose interest eventually. But the puzzles were a nice change of pace, especially with a bunch of weird wiggling tentacles everywhere. This is an intense experience, one that hits perfectly by playing it in the dark with headphones, just letting yourself fully immerse in the experience. I think if you're looking for really fast-paced gameplay, then you're not gonna have a good time here. I thought I was gonna get a more traditional survival horror experience, not having done my research going into this game. And while I didn't get what I expected, what I got surprised me greatly. I think $13 is pretty reasonable. This game is not going to be for everyone, but the people that this appeals to will probably be chomping at the bit to get their hands on it, and $12 is a very nice asking price. You got to go into this experience with the headspace that you are walking through this twisted, haunted art gallery. Mesmerizing visuals, terrifying audio, and like let yourself be immersed in it. If you're willing to do that, then I think you're going to have a great, if not very spooky time playing Eclipsium. Now, here's a game that speaks to my sensibilities. Wander Stars was an instant wishlist the minute that I saw it. The art style, first of all, impeccable. You've got a really vintage anime sort of look, almost like early Dragon Ball, which is an apt comparison because this entire game seems to be based on the martial arts. You play as this little kid, Ringo. She's brash, she's a loudmouth, she punches anything that moves, and she aims to be the best. This game is broken down into episodes, and they even have title cards. It's very funny and appropriate that I just so happened to be rewatching old episodes of Dragon Ball right before starting up this game on a whim. But anyway, enough about that. Wander Stars is a story RPG. You travel around the map, collect items, get stronger, talk to NPCs, and fight a whole bunch of weird and funny opponents. Throughout the game, you collect these words like punch and kick and block. You can only use a limited amount of words per turn, and that essentially creates your attack, like a fast fire punch or something like that. And they all do certain types of damage. Enemies have weaknesses and resistances. You gain SP for correctly guessing the weaknesses, which allow you to use more words on a turn. There's a lot of mechanics, and they're all very familiar to RPG players, but they're recontextualized in interesting ways that make them stand out. I got pretty suspicious when, after beating on my first opponent a bit, I saw my end turn button turn into peace. These morality systems, man, they are becoming more and more common. Once you hit peace, Ringo checks out of there and you spare your opponent. This gives you honor points, which allows you to buy permanent upgrades for Ringo. I don't think there is any horrid consequence for KOing your opponents. I mean, you don't get the honor, I assume, which will probably make the game immensely harder down the line. But I doubt there is any genocide route sort of thing to expect. I am really immersed in this story. Ringo's got a tough relationship with her grandma. She lost her parents in a terrible flood, and her brother has disappeared. There's a lot of tension about that, of what the grandma wants versus what Ringo wants. All of a sudden, this wolf guy shows up and is like, hey, give me that piece of map that you have. Ringo's like, what do you mean I have a special piece of map? Does that make me special for the first time in my life? It's a mess. And the further that I played, the more variables got added to this story, this more pieces of intrigue. These other dudes showed up that knew Wolf, and that relationship seemed problematic. He's got this giant debt for some scary sounding rabbit man. And then you got Ringo, who's just a firecracker looking to make a name for herself, going on this journey and talking to sexy capybaras and surfboards. Yeah, I'm all about this. In stark contrast to Eclipsium and Yellow Taxico's Vroom, when I finished my session of gameplay with Wander Stars, I did not get the sense that I was in for a short experience. I sat back in my chair and went, wow, that was just the first episode. I think I'm in for a really wild ride with this game, and I think this story is going to go into places I did not expect. And you couple all that with an immensely appealing art style, and this is something special. I'm very easily sold by games that work hard to achieve a unique look, have an interesting story with characters that come up and down from serious to silly. And we get to watch the characters grow while we also, as players, grow our character to become even stronger with new abilities. This is fun. This is that just right porridge that I've really been looking for. Wander Stars is a little expensive at $25, but I mean, the quality really makes itself apparent just by looking at the game, and with how meaty of an experience I think I've got on my hands here, I'd say it's worth the price. But of course, you can always wait for the next Steam sale down the line, and it'll be even better. For as much as I'm down for an acquired taste sort of game, Wander Stars definitely gets the most praise out of me so far. I highly recommend checking this game out. And okay, I think that's all my voice can take for one night. I'm glad I got to make one of these videos again. It's been far longer than I realized. I think I picked out a good mesh of variety sort of games. Like, none of these games felt similar in any capacity. But that's just it, right? Variety is the spice of life. Hopefully I'll get to pick out another trio of indie games soon to make another one, but until then, let me know what you thought of the games presented today, and if you tried any of these yourself, let me know what you made of them. Till then, I am going to get some rest. Catch you later.